Hello and welcome. Today I will be presenting on a campaign that I created for Safe Shores, the DC Children Advocacy Center. The campaign that I'll be presenting on today is Pack to School Shopping for Student Success by myself, Caitlin Mullaney. Safe Shores, the DC Children's Advocacy Center, is an organization that is located in Washington, D.C., and it's dedicated to supporting and working directly with children's victims of abuse of all types in the Washington, D.C. area. It's a really unique organization because they have medical, legal, and social services facilities all under one roof. The campaign today will be a focus on a rebrand of the organization's annual Sponsor a School Supply List program, or as they call it, Pack to School. The way this works is donors are assigned a school supply list for an individual between grades pre-K to 12th grade, and they are required to buy everything on that list and fill the backpack. Along with that, they're also given an interest list for the students, different activities, hobbies that they have, so they can try to personalize it the best they can with their interests, so that student feels special when they're getting these supplies, but also remain anonymous throughout the process. So there's no information about the actual child being passed on to the person that is sponsoring. The goal of this specific campaign is to switch the perception of this drive from a traditional school supply backpack donation program, such as listed on this logo, which is their current one, to an experience from the donors that creates a content creation potential, but also appeals to a younger audience, such as those entering the workforce or have been in the workforce for a limited number of years, and truly tries to reach out to them through mobile media, which is highly present in their lives. The desired outcome of this campaign are an increased number of sponsored school supply lists. That is always the desired outcome, to make sure the organization is getting increased resources, increased mobile mentions of the organization, and interactions based on content that the organization creates, as well as content created by those that participate in the program, and then increased brand awareness for Safe Shores DC that can hopefully carry over to their Adopt a Holiday Wishlist program that occurs in November and December. I've also personally participated with the group, so I was able to find these numbers from previous years where it shows that there has steadily been a increase in backpacks that have been given each year and children that have sponsored. Through my communications with the organization, I've been able to discover that the reason that it has vastly increased just over the past 2 years, as you can see, over almost 150 more backpacks, 140 more backpacks within the 2 years. They said that that has been done because of both they've had an increased participation from people, mostly just from word of mouth, but also people in the past that have given are trying to give more, and that mostly because they're trying to give more is the other component where the organization has seen an increased need for backpacks steadily every single year, which is hopefully something that this campaign would be able to assist with bringing more people in. The target audience, as I briefly led to for this campaign, would be 25 to 40-year-old professionals in Washington, D.C., as well as surrounding areas. As people in the area know, Washington, D.C., as far as the professional network extends well beyond Washington, D.C. And one thing with the organization is they do not do a great job of going outside of the borders of the D.C. just because of limited resources. So I'd love to be able to use the added digitization of this campaign to reach past those borders and kind of create resources without having to bring in more people. The other primary target audience would be recent college graduates that are located in those areas as well. The secondary audience for that, organizations that our primary audience would listen to, would have an impact and influence on their lives, would be the social groups that these individuals would partake in, including alumni groups, sports clubs, and junior league, things that recent graduates or young professionals would get involved with. I think this is a really good target because not only do they have the ear and influence on our primary audience, but it also creates the ability for our primary audience to participate in this in a way that's community based. So maybe they are not going to sponsor backpack themselves, but bringing it to a secondary audience may create an opportunity for a number of members of the audience to come together and sponsor something together. The theory application for this project, I have done one of my personal favorite theories was Johnston Taylor's Tiers of Engagement. The campaign focus for this campaign is in implying the tiers of engagement is participant potential for mobile media creation through their participation in the project. So it's very much, you don't really get to create the content unless you actually participate. The way that the engagement would apply and applying it to get engagement would be turning low-level engagement of strictly social media interaction. As you can see on the level here is low level, and as Johnson and Taylor go on, where it's just social media likes, pages, visits, click through. We're not actually seeing we're not actually seeing a response. It's the lowest level of engagement. And we would like to turn that into mid-level and high-level engagement of participation. Content creation, which would be mid-level, where they're taking content that Safe Shores is creating. They're creating their own responsorial content. They're creating content that is reaching a broader audience and getting people involved in the process. They're creating a dialogue, giving the cause a voice that it would not have on its own. And then the highest level of engagement, which we really want to shoot for, especially for a donation-based activity, is seeing an actual social awareness, social civic action, which would be the actual act of donations of the backpacks, and to see what kind of impact we can get from that. The brand visuals for this campaign, I would love to do something whimsical, Y2K. The reason that I'm focusing on this is because of the target audience being 25 to 40-year-olds. I very much wanted to mine off of that nostalgia that very much clicks with that generation. We've done bright colors, very eye-catching. So, when you're on social media, there's so much being exposed. I thought bright colors would be a good visual connection with that, but also it's also like a match for the verbal connection, because the verbal connection is kids, it is fun, it is kids, it is backpack, it's school. So I thought going with these bright colors and bringing in all of the different fun school supplies would kind of catch on to that nostalgia vibe for them. It also plays onto the presence that Y2K aesthetic has had in the cultural zeitgeist for a long time, especially with the younger generations. It continues to circle back. As we know, trends are cyclical. We see in both the media and in fashion and our everyday lives. So I very much like to hone on to that and get people interested in that. And then very much just like catch their eye with really fun graphics, really bright colors, kind of play it above all of the other noise that they're being exposed to on the daily basis. The first tool, and I have briefly mentioned that, and this is the main tool that I would really like to use with this campaign, is mobile media content. Christmas in July, let's go viral. I really want to, it is a 3-step almost process. I would love to do organization created videos of 2 styles. The first one replicates what we have seen in the past from angel tree shopping style videos, where individuals, they go into stores, they get an angel tree. They get a name off of an angel tree similar to the backpack drive, where they're sponsoring a student or a child or a senior and what they specifically put on their wish list, and then they film themselves doing that, and it's immediate content creation. These have done statistically well the past couple of Christmases. personally, I've seen a lot more. We've also seen trends growing. Salvation Armies have also reported higher participation rates since these videos have started coming out, and a lot of it they do attribute to this almost like virality of this trend. Basically like doing a good deed a trend, and thankfully it's connecting with people that have the resources to do this through TikTok, which is a really nice benefit that doesn't necessarily always happen in communities when they're doing these projects. The other component of these from the organization for mobile media content is we want to bring out the story of the organization and really highlight that and connect, because that is one of the top tool connections that people respond to. Obviously, this is something where the participants should remain, we want anonymity for the children that are receiving these projects, that are receiving these backpacks. However, when you do get the thank you note, they always include a couple of just like stories, anonymous tales of kids getting their backpacks and their reactions, and they have quotes. I think it would be a really unique concept to have the employees of the organization or whatever memorable person we can get to kind of film one-off kind of video interview videos where they're telling the stories and these quotes, but they're reading them off from a first person. So it kind of creates a unique mobile media content, and also creates something that they're able to share and reach out, and hits into that mid-level range of engagement for Johnson and Taylor. And the final one is the hopefully let's go viral. And you hate going I hate that phrase, but I mean that's really it's really unfortunately, how you get in front of the most eyes in our current media landscape. The way with that would be kind of take hopefully the videos that we've done of the shopping, kind of get some kind of hook and find ways to connect with local area content creators, whether that is these social groups, whether that is organizers that already are filming themselves doing good work, and kind of start the ball rolling on user generated content on the angel tree shopping style videos. As you can see, I've included a few examples here from that, but that would bring it into the both higher tier and the mid tier. Hopefully mid tier is just the content, and then higher tier is getting these content creators to also participate in the project and bring backpacks in. The second tool I would like to use would be repeat donor emails. As I've mentioned, there's a very specific target audience for this campaign. It is a younger group. The organization traditionally has a higher age, and a different group participates in donations than what is the target audience of this campaign, and that is with intent. We want to bring in more people. We want to bring in this new market that is untapped for this project, people that have the resource to do this, that have the energy, that want to be out there giving back to their community, but also getting like the personal benefit of content creation, appealing to essentially like our target audience of potential donors, or our target audience on the other side of it, our target for communications. For the repeat donor emails is for this. I think it's a really good way of maintaining our donor loyalty. The email, which I've just done a general mock-up here of a suggestion for what it could look like. Emails, what they would announce the return of the project every year, just so they know that the drive is happening again. It also kind of introduced this new branding, so so it's fun, it's getting an update. I think that's really important for returning donors to when an organization is in this phase where it's like keep with this phase of the life cycle, to keep bringing new life into it and show that we are maintaining and we are still putting resources into it, and we're not just resting on our laurels. And then what these emails would do was that as I've mentioned, it would ensure that the repeat donors are kept in the loop about what's happening, but it would also get them in when would not be contacted other ways because they're not the target audience. The final tool that I would like to use would be old school traditional press releases, but I would like to take kind of a modern twist on them. I would like to send it to local media, spotlighting not necessarily the backpack drive itself, because that's kind of like a weird thing to send out to via press release, is that you're doing a donation drive, but I would like to highlight the good work that the organization does in trying to get their name past the mobile media content mentions, which is what we're going for with the first tool, and get it into the mentions of traditional media and get attention there. And bring some brand awareness by focusing on the good work that a local organization is doing and kind of connect it to this upcoming drive. While including traditional media, the spin I would like to take it is I'd like to target non-traditional media, including Instagram accounts, TikTok accounts, blogs. What I mean by that is there are a number of accounts that focus on what's going on in DC, what are you doing, activities to do. They are appealing to a younger audience. They are having their branding is in front of an audience, their content is in front of the audience that is our target audience. So I'd love to be able to target them with the press release, which is why, with this modern twist, as a traditional media professional would know, this is not what a normal press release would look like. This is, again, just a mock-up, and it's very like different. There's lots of colors. There's a lot more graphics than I would ever put in a press release for my current job, or really in any situation. But I just would love the idea of, if we're sending to non-traditional media, then to also send a non-traditional press release. Kind of send like, here's an event, like we'd love for you to participate, versus like, here's just another thing that's coming up. So yeah, that is the explanation of this different press release and how we'd like to use that. The time frame from this campaign, because it is it has a very specific start and end date. We don't really have a lot of wiggle room. So the traditional campaign timeline would be about 2 months plus a little for post-op reports. For the start of June, unfortunately, I'm blocking it, but the start of June, we would send out the press releases to the traditional and non-traditional media. For mid-June, I would begin the rollout of our content. I would probably kind of alternating between shopping haul videos and angel tree inspired videos versus the stories, so they can connect between the two. So anybody that starts paying attention to our media can kind of see the whole story that we're telling. And then the start of July, the sponsor signups traditionally open for the backpacks. Hopefully we see where we're starting from the beginning, and then mid-July start with the user created content. The good thing about that, starting after the sponsor signups, are we're able to bring some responsorial into it, versus just like shooting ahead of time. And also, as we continue our own content, we're able to respond as we see our numbers coming in. And also, traditionally, the organization has informed me that people request backpacks up until the last minute. So while continuing content after that, it's a good chance for us to hopefully keep the momentum going. And then the end of July, content focusing on the countdown to the deadline and the promote option of monetary donations. Basically, like, yes, we understand it's a lot asking for you to go out, but if you don't have time to do a backpack, it ends in a few days, feel free to donate monetary donations, and we'll make sure those go towards making a student's day school year go well. And that's another way just to bring in more people, more opportunity to get that engagement up to tier 3, which is really what our target is. And then August is our post-op report. So the drive is over. We're just posting, highlighting the successes of that. We're starting bringing in some more videos of the stories from this current year to keep that going. And then, as I said, one of the goals of this campaign was to hopefully get enough brand awareness that it would carry over to the holiday program momentum. So we went ahead and go and start with that. Just kind of like not overkill, because it is August and that doesn't start until November, but just kind of like here's what to look out for of what's coming, and hopefully get people to go ahead and have that in the back of their minds. And Finally, how are we going to measure success for this campaign? Luckily for this campaign, because it is very much um, based on numbers, we would have a good amount of comparative analytics and comparing it to to last year's final numbers. Basically, if we get more backpacks than we did previously, if we're able to um, match our numbers for how many kids go, then how many kids have requested, then that's a success of the campaign. I think I think to get actual like campaign responses from participants, the organization does send out a post donation survey where they request how much people spent on their backpacks, so they can do that for grant requests and different things like that, so they can get like a total monetary value. I think that's a really good opportunity since it's already going out and it does have information that most people do fill out because it does help the organization, to expand that and to adding a few demographic questions, seeing what percentage of the donors fell into our target audience to see how well we did that, see if any of the groups that we reached out to participated, and then also adding, just a basic campaign interacting questions, just simple as like, what spurred you to participate in this, and if it and include some of our campaign outlets that we used for mobile media as well as emails and local news, just to see how what they actually saw, if they were interacting with the campaign, and then if they are planning, and then maybe if they plan to continue, to see if we have any people to contact already for Christmas. So if they're already looking at the holiday wish list, we can be like, oh, bring them from the target audience for the first campaign into the repeat donor category for the second campaign. And yeah, and all of that goes with the, as you can see, the thank you letter that they send out with that survey. So just as Safe Shores thanks their participants for their backpack donations every year, I thank you for listening to this campaign, and I hope it goes off swimmingly. Thank you.